recapping on this and going through this, we were like, geez, that actually happened.
I know.
It wasn't even until we actually wrote it down and looked at it. We were both like, holy
I know, because I was saying to Tony off camera, I was like, I'm just so burnt out from the year and just adjusting to everything and, trying to achieve the goals we're trying to achieve for each client. It's just been chaotic. And, some people have done really well. So we kind of want to go into land now and sort of talk about what's happened in land in Perth.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde.
And Catherine Smith, good morning.
Morning and Merry Christmas. Bah humbug indeed.
Who wants to spend Christmas Eve listening to us?
When you've had enough of the kids and screaming, just put your headphones on and listening to this. Or you're struggling to get to sleep, this will get you to sleep.
Look, this is more of a recap of what we've dealt with this year, from building, from land, from the overall market in Perth. I mean, it's been an extremely intense year, chaotic year. We are burnt out. We are run down. I would say anybody in real estate in general, wherever you sit, even if you're a real estate agent or a settlement agent, or if you're in building, it's just been one hell of a year, one hell of a ride. We couldn't keep up.
I thought the start of this year would be like, we'll get back on track, things will level out, there'll be no real issues. Well, we'll just recap the year, and Jesus, it's been issue after issue. Well, not issue, but it's
intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, particularly in building, because we had the grants back in COVID, it was just intense from that, and it hasn't stopped since. So we're trying to hopefully get a little bit of a balance, maybe moving into 2025. We'll see. But yeah, let's just recap 2024.
And I feel like
we'll talk about what's been happening from our perspective.
Just jumping on that from COVID, it's like every person's had a piece of the pie, and I think this year showed that last part, which we'll go through, got their piece of the pie, and here we are. So
yeah. So in terms of the real estate market in Perth, 2024 has been intense, rapid, probably unexpected would be another word. Just extremely rapid in terms of the price increasing like this. But that's literally across the board with any suburb. Some obviously had stronger growth than others, but literally you could almost choose any suburb and really see the growth just going gangbusters.
Perth WA as a whole, when you talk about that, is one of the fastest. It was one of the largest growing for median house prices in the whole of Australia.
Yeah.
So it was one of the higher ones, it really didn't catch up or surpass, but it was like huge, right?
Yeah. I mean, the sheer capital gains this year has been unbelievable, but at the same time, it's definitely an investor's market. Every second person I talked to was an investor trying to capitalize on Perth, and just the locals couldn't even keep up with the rapid growth. So in terms of price point now, the median 4x2 in Perth, we're looking high sevens. I think it was last year we were saying that we were high fives. So to put in perspective, that's about 200 grand median shift
in a year.
Yeah. And even being in this game, we couldn't even keep up with the pricing. So, you would have a meeting with a client, let's say in March, and go, yep, we're looking at this price. But then once you start to actually do the maths, you're like, oh, wait, I need another 40K and another 50K. You meet them back in July. Oh, wait, we're way out. We need to go, further out. And we almost were getting priced out ourselves.
I was struggling to keep the prices in my head, because normally you've got a rough idea, like the X amount of dollars for it. And I had to have the price list on hand just to double check them. And they were changing that quick. You were like, I don't even know what's going on.
Yes.
And they weren't just like jumping up 5 grand. There was some serious jumps there with land and builds,
Oh, yeah. And it made it hard to sort of recommend certain areas or to really get people in the areas that they want. So at the same time, we were finding it hard to adjust to the rapid price increase, but so were clients. So, we're getting clients come to me and say, oh, we want to spend, I actually had this the other day, I want to spend 600 grand in Brabham. And I said, oh, well, Brabham's 750.
Yeah.
Like, I know Brabham 600 last year, yeah, for sure. You could do in the fives, but it's $750 for Brabham now, and even land alone's in the fours. So it just shows you that not even just people in the industry weren't up to date, really. It's just the reality check for clients also weren't quite there. So another example of that was I had clients that lived in Auburn Grove, and they bought in 2019, and they bought for $570. So now it's worth about $900. And they go, we want to invest in property. I said, great. I need about $650. And they couldn't wrap their head around getting a mortgage for more than their actual house, right?
Right, yeah.
So they're like, but we paid $570 for our house, so how can I put $650 down in Lakelands or whatever? Because that's more than our actual real property. And I said, yes, valid, but you have to adjust and go, your house is not $570, it's $900.
Yep.
Okay, so $650 is less than $900. You got to adjust. It's not 2019 anymore. We're now going to 2025. So yeah, it's really just the mindset has to really adjust. And I think it's going to take another 6 months for people to really get to the new norm.
Yeah, and the other thing I suppose with the boom was that the rental crisis popped up. The kids got flew out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Point where everyone's like, there's no rentals available. We were like, we're sitting at 1.4%, even less at that in times. It was like 0.4%, and that was to do with just people moving in and out.
Yeah, I think we're at 0.6 vacancy rate across the board. Obviously, the more desirable the suburb, the less options there are, and the higher the price. So, rental pricing is, I
mean,
at an absolute peak, I would say.
Well, you think about it, you were what, 600 a week. That's now it's not uncommon to hear about 750, 800, even 900 in suburbs. You would go, why is 900 in PR Waters?
Easily.
Like, why?
Well, there's Starbucks there now, so
Yeah, saw that.
watch
right?
out.
It's gonna be crazy.
Pieces coming. Yeah.
That kind of pricing, but then you look at the other capital suburbs, and that's not uncommon. Those kind of prices up, kind of round about that, So, are we catching up? WA standing for wait a while. We are a little bit behind sometimes. We're notorious for that.
Yeah.
Again, Starbucks just arriving here a couple of months ago. How far behind are we? So yeah, I understand that, but it was so rapid that people didn't have a time to adjust. You're asking people are renting $450 a week next, and then their new rental. It wasn't like it's 500. It was straight up to $650.
Yeah.
It was an extra 200. It was huge, and people were paying it.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And this has been. I mean, the cost of living crisis obviously is something we talk about in the media a lot. But in terms of the last 12 months of Perth, on the real estate side, has been unseen before. I would argue.
And this is a year, right? It's happened so quickly that even we're sitting going, wow, that like when we're recapping on this and going through this, we were like, geez, that actually happened.
I know.
It wasn't even until we actually wrote it down and looked at it, we were both like, holy shit. That actually happened, so.
I know, because I was saying to Tony off camera, I was like, I'm just so burnt out from the year and just adjusting to everything and, trying to achieve the goals we're trying to achieve for each client. It's just been chaotic. And, some people have done really well. So we kind of want to go into land now and sort of talk about what's happened in land in Perth for beginning of the year until now. We're in December.
The land situation, and I think we've got a few podcasts on it now already, and I think every podcast we do, we touch on it. It came out of nowhere. It was huge. It hit us hard, and availability disappeared very quickly.
Almost at the beginning of the year, we didn't think of land as a concern as such, because it wasn't so much in 2023. So we went into it not really paying much attention to the land availability and stock levels. March,
because we've always gone, there's always land there, there's land only a couple of months away, and never seen anything where you were looking at land at August time and it wasn't going to get it till March next year.
Yeah,
that was and
you couldn't even get the blocks.
And I think that's what I was talking about. That was the last piece of the pie for me. That I'm not saying they were being greedy. That's not what I'm saying. It was a time to actually get what the land or the values is worth. When the median house prices go up, etc. I understand that. But it was just so rapid. The same with the builders when they put the prices up and stuff like that all those years ago. It was all relative. It's not just supply and demand at the end of the day. People think it's disgusting or whatever, but it's like any industry in the world. If there's a demand for X, people will build it, make it. We'll charge more because it's more of a demand.
Yeah. So I think at around March, just the amount of stock for land just went rapidly to zero in a nutshell. And then by April, we're going, oh my gosh, we can't get land, not even delayed land, just no land at all. So even, they'll be releasing 10 a month, And to put in perspective, you would have, let's say, 25 builders, each with 2 or 3 clients trying to get one of the 10 blocks of land. So really you have maybe 80 people for 10 blocks of land each month for each release. So it just became this like sheer intense bloodbath of fighting for the death for a block in a way, and to secure something. So almost the delayed title factor didn't even come into play at that point, because you just needed to get a block, and there were so many people and so much competition for that block, and that's sort of supply versus demand pushed the price up.
Yeah. At the very start of the year, it was really driven by investors, and investors were cash. They were cash happy. Cash happy? That's not right. They were cash buyers. They had the caps to go and do it. Maybe be cash happy. So they were buying really quickly.
Cash makes me
Cash
happy.
was king, right? Cash was king. But they were buying it straight away. And then with these builders, going to that with their quick turnaround times, the quick build times, or the guaranteed 12 months, they knew they were in there by like March next year sort of thing, and could capitalise on the rental market, which is still going to be here late into 2025. Probably, I would guess, into 26, the rental market will still be, just with the amount of people moving to WA. So yeah, that really pushed it as well, and then obviously from that became all the issues of the pre-approvals and the ticket systems, the ballot systems for getting land. It just went, I was like, wow,
So basically, in a normal market, to get a block, we can call the land agent, put it on hold, obviously, present that option to a client. Things are a little bit slower. Then you can get a letter of eligibility to show you've checked your finance, and then from there you can secure the block.
Yeah.
What Tony's touching on is essentially that whole structure just went out the window.
Mhm.
It was basically there's no holds. You need to have pre-approval. You need to have all the documents straight away, and then the land will be sent to you. Now, just in the perspective, there's probably 80 people for 10 blocks. So obviously out of the 80, someone will pay those crazy prices, and there will be 10 of them that will. So just the system itself completely changed. So pre-approval became the norm, and letters of eligibility went out the window, and then holds went out the window.
Yeah.
And then also it was quite hard from our perspective to do the numbers, because we would go, okay, the last release, a 375 square meter block, went for 400,000, and then the next release, let's say a month later, it'll be 425,000. And it'll be quite a rapid increase, 25,000 or whatever. It was so disappointing, because a lot of the time it didn't actually make sense for that client anymore. They were priced out.
And they layered it. So like, they were ABC, if you want to call it, the A clients, the top clients were cash. Whoever had the money to pay for it, they were the ones who wanted, because they already had the money and it was secured to go.
Yeah.
Then the pre-approvals, that was like going to the bank saying, yeah, you can actually borrow this money and you're pre-approved for it. The problem we have with that, and the issue with that is it's fine, but you got to reapply every 3 months technically under the rules. All right. And so if you've got 9 months delayed titles, you've got to technically reapply every 3 months. Now, they're probably not going to do it. They're probably going to reapply for proper approval closer to the date. But it's a little extra work for the brokers that we didn't usually need to have to do. So and that's more credit checks, and that can, I think we've had finance brokers talk about that. So there's a lot more work to it, and it's a little bit more sticky.
Yeah. Just a land was in a competitive era for 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. And they won. They won.
What is interesting about the building cycle, I guess, of probably any major city, but I'm talking from a Perth experience. Sometimes the land developers have the power, sometimes the builders have the power, sometimes finance has the power. It really changes. But right now, the land shortage obviously created the land developers to have the power.
Yeah.
They were cheeky each month with their price increases, and we'll use the word cheeky for
I think
PR reasons. But in that saying, I think it is now a little bit at its peak price wise. I think there is a little bit slower now that we're going into December. It's like
there's a little bit more land out there.
It's just not moving as quick.
Yeah.
There's not more land. It's just not selling as quick. And I think because the price is at its peak now, so a lot of people are now priced out. So it will be interesting if that price, I don't think is going to increase. I think it will stabilize. I don't think it's going to go down, because people are still buying, of course, and still buying quickly. But I'm thinking those every month release going up 25, 30K, hopefully is out the window. So Just to put in perspective, I had a block for a client in Sanagra, July. We got it for 365, and in October, the latest release with the exact same block size was 433. Right, so that's 73 grand. From July to October. That's very much the norm that happened
Yeah.
throughout the year. And it was like, oh yeah, I know you're waiting, but every 3-4 months it's 70 grand here. Yeah.
And the same with my story, the one that I've told a few times on here, where, again, when we found out about pre-approvals being king and we lost that land, and then the next day it was on $85,000 more.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's cheeky. That's cheeky.
Well, it happened. It
That's super
happened
cheeky.
throughout the year.
But everyone got hit with it. I mean, there was
Absolutely.
that same area and released. I know of about 5 other brokers and
Mhm.
builders and stuff that all got stung with that, and there was no budging on it because they had buyers ready to go the next day,
Yeah.
and they were gone the next day. So
Yeah.
that's the way they want to do it. With the land, it's going to come down to the big boys is to just cap the land. Your big satellites, your stockies, to just go, we're not pushing anymore, because then the smaller guys won't be able to go above them because they won't sell. It'll slow down and it'll be harder for them to move it. That's what will happen. Maybe it might not straight away the year, but by the end of next year, 25, I would imagine that would happen because there'll be more available. But when the demand's still quite high, they might get away with it. But they'll price themselves out. People will just go, I'm not paying that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think we're at this peak now. I think land developers are like, let's squeeze everyone for every dollar that we can. And I think we've squeezed enough. I also think there's a little bit of a disconnect between land agents and builders on like how much it costs, to build overall.
Yeah.
So example would be Brabham, the selling box for say 440. And I said, yeah, but to build on that is 370. Now we're 800 grand to build in Brabham, where that's just too expensive, for the suburb area. So there is that bit of a disconnect between the two parties involved. Do you find that?
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm seeing that everywhere. People come, I've got 650, Tony. You're like, geez, we'll get you something, but it's not going to be much type thing. And they're like, what do you mean? You're like, yeah, that's just unfortunate where we're at. So there's a lot of getting it and then taking things out and moving things around and making it work for them.
Yeah, correct.
And there's a lot of extra work at the back end. I have a client came up, he went for the land and he's got like 290 for the house, and I was like, geez, mate, we're going to struggle here. We're literally putting a shell up.
290.
Yeah, it's tough. So there's nothing there to give. There's no give on it at the moment. So it's definitely happened. I don't think the prices will drop. I think they might stabilise. We might see some decreases year after next on building, when we're going to the builders now, on the builders, just as rates and things start to low down, because we've came through that cycle now. So all the finishing trades, I think, are there. They'll still hold the prices. Brickies will never go back down to 99 cents or a dollar. And they shouldn't, because that's disgusting, getting paid that amount of money. But getting $5 a brick's a little bit much. It needs to settle, and then because all the the demand for all the labour and the materials went up, but it's not came back down. A company will break that. They'll go, we're not moving as much stuff. They'll discounts, and it'll start to go. And I know builders will start to pass those savings on eventually, but it won't be like dropping 40 grand. There'll be 10 grand here and 15 grand. It won't be huge dollars. This is what I would assume.
Yeah. So let's talk about, now that we've done the land, let's talk about the recap of 24 for the builders. So I think at the beginning of the year, they were like, oh, we're going to go into a boom. Let's start capping how much volume we're going to take in. Do you remember at the beginning? And they would say, oh, we're only going to take X amount per month. And, they were sort of panicking. And I think what happened was the builders learnt not to take too much business on because of COVID. And that's where a lot of builders got caught out in all that, BGC, for example. So builders are almost preparing for that. But in a way, they were organically capped due to the land shortage.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, we're only going to take on 60 builds a month. But then they realized, just due to the shortage of the land, they were organically capped anyway. So they didn't actually have to restrict their team in terms of volume. It kind of was
just natural.
A natural thing, which actually was quite nice because no one missed out as such. It was more just like, if you get the land, great, you get the business in a way. But yeah, it was almost like in the builder's favor, and to, I guess, make their operations smoother, that they weren't over servicing too many clients.
Yeah, it happened, and I think from there, they then got, I don't want to say picky or choosy, they got very selective of what builds are going to take. And I'll explain for why. It becomes into the profit margin, essentially. If they go and do a really hard battle axe type block whereas a lot, the land's a bit uneven. It's the same. They get the same profits at the end as they do in a greenfield. When we talk about greenfield, we mean the brand new estates where it's all level and flat.
Yeah.
They've just went through hard times, so they're literally just focusing on greenfields, brand new estates, like putting the boxes in, getting it done, nice and easy. There's less hassle with it. It's nice and simple. The tradies are happy to go there because there's different restrictions around building. It's just an easier process for them. It's easier for the supervisors, and we've certainly had most of our builders say we really don't want to do battle axes, we don't want to do X. No, or
It was
customs.
extremely difficult in the 2024 to find a builder that would take on a double story, that would take on a townhouse, that would take on a rear build,
Especially if it was
multi-development, anything like with too many moving parts was just in the too hard basket purely because every builder had enough business. So to take on complex things that could obviously bog down their system, bog down their trades, it made no financial sense as a business model. So this year was almost the time for simple cookie cutter builds, minimal changes, and minimal like upfront legwork,
Absolutely. The ones that we would go to for our customs or things like that, they were like, no, we really just want to work off the plan, and that's what we had to really do is work off the plan. Now you could go custom as long as it was boxed and it was tweak it was fine, but there was no like real customs off the bat.
Just don't have the time, and I think
it's a minute. What people might understand the amount of time it takes to process a brand new design through the system that they've got to do because they've got to count every brick. There's a lot more work from the ones that they've already got done.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you see it being a bit more expensive doing the customs because there's a lot more to it, the engineering work, the architectural work, all that.
So just because of the sheer volume of construction this year, operations were a lot more firm this year, a bit more, I guess, corporate, if you will. So, that can be a good and bad thing, I guess, because some clients would be like, oh, actually, I changed my mind about something. And it was very much like, no, you've now moved on from pre-start. There's no going back. You've signed the documents. Like there wasn't that sort of flexibility or grey area as such, particularly, just to the sheer volume. It just, the operations needed to be firm and no structural changes, no elevation changes, nothing, unforeseen, just purely because, if you have 150 builds to get through, you just can't be bogged down with a back and forth sort of battle with everyone.
And what we found that there are some positives from this. So with the land, I found some positives here. With the land and title being so far away, and then the builders coming in and giving us 9-month price holds and 6-month price holds, which was really good, saying we're not going to, if you say now, within as long as you're on site, but 6 months, we won't increase the price, which is great. So we had the opportunity then to go, well, hold on, we'll just hold off on the land build just now. Okay, we're looking at March, right? We don't want to be signing until October, November. Give yourself that month's grace in case it does push out, which also gives us time to then make sure before we signed with the builder, we really took our time with the PPA and make sure the design was correct. That was a bonus I found for some of my clients because they really got to go back and forth and spend 4 or 5, maybe 6 to 8 weeks getting the design right. And the builders were happy with that because they knew what we were doing. I made it very clear, hey, we're not going to sign till around about this time. So if there is any increases in the price, we can factor in and then we'll price hold it. So that was a kind of positive. We knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
We got time. So when we got the contracts, the build contracts, it was very simple because we'd done all the work at the start when we'd done the fit. Well, that wasn't the case during COVID. We were firing it in so quick because it was just mental we're against deadlines trying to get in. So I found that as being a positive.
Yeah.
A little bit more extra work, but the client is shit. You're just so more confident going through the process that when the contracts come out and the build hits, the client's like, yeah, I know exactly what I want. It's all happening. And you're like, cool, that's what we...
So I think this year, it wasn't so much about price increasing for the builds, it's more price holds.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the biggest thing. Just because the land was being released so far away, the titles were being released so far away, it was extremely difficult to position a client that their price would be the price for the build that they would get, say, 8 months' time down the track. That's basically what you're saying. So putting them with a builder that would obviously honor that price or to add extra money into that or to offload it or whatever we had to do, that was by far the biggest topic was price hold. Some builders, to be fair, didn't do that. I didn't use them this year because that was purely the biggest topic because clients will get in the system and then, I'm talking to people in the industry and they go, oh, I have to ask for another 30 grand and this and that. And I said 30 grand is astronomical amount of money for some people. It's not the way I would operate, but some builders weren't honouring that. So
I'm with you on that one, and I was the same with you. I use the same sort of builders that were honouring that price hold. It made everything so much more comfortable.
yeah,
I mean, I don't blame the builders for having to put price increases on. It was happening, especially the reputable ones. I don't know what I said there.
reputable.
That's the word.
Bear with that.
But they were trying to do the right thing by the clients. If you're waiting 8 months before we get site, and we've not, we've learnt from the COVID times, but it was the ones that were not doing it right. They were saying, they were signing you on a price, knowing thing well you're going to get a price increase. I get 3 or 4 grand they can maybe stump up, but these put up all the money in it. They're probably at the top end of their max borrowing, and then they're expected to find another 30 grand. It'll kill a deal.
Yeah,
And it has killed deals. And it's just
wasting everyone's time.
and it looks bad for everyone. It looks bad on the builder, and it looks bad in the industry. And it's not the case for everyone. Not everyone's doing that. There's just a choice few that have went out there and done it. And I personally think there's out there knowingly they're doing it because of whatever. And yeah, so I think, but the positive is we've got that out of it, that we can take our time to do the designs because the titles are so far away. We have time to get it right for the client, like moving some walls and get it a bit more customized for them. When we say customized, we're not talking about full custom. We'll get like a base plan and we'll tweak it to suit you, which builders are absolutely fine with. It's when they go, I want to put extra rooms on, and that's like a different architecture.
It's not the market right now,
Absolutely.
like we're saying, although it's a land developers market, the builders are still busy, so they're not interested in anything particularly aggressively customized or anything like
Yeah.
that. Moving into 2025, we'll do a whole episode of where we think we're going for 2025, but
Yeah.
that's our market recap
That's it,
for
yeah.
2024. It's been chaos, highs and lows, and kind of everything in between.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably take a little break for maybe a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll see how we feel, try to
Yeah.
get back in.
We're
But
back in January.
we'll be back in January, whole new year. We've got a few ideas, new stuff coming. Keep this place, and as always, like, share, follow, comment. I'll slow down my accent for you guys out there. I know that I can be a bit fast.
We'll do subtitles.
We'll get the
Yeah.
subtitles back. But also, if you want to hear about us or what our thoughts and views on stuff, or people you want to get on the podcast, or if there's anyone out there that wants to come on and talk about our topic,
Hit us up.
We'd love to get you on here. Okay, bye now.
Bye.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.